Voice Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. So with me today, I am with Amanda Murray and Grant Morrell. How are you guys?
How are you, Amanda?
I was on mute. I'm good. It's early and sunny here. I'm in Canada, so we're enjoying the warm weather.
We were just talking about how it seems nice and warm there compared to weeks before, and it's good here. And it's sunny in London today, Noms. All right, it was a little bit cool yesterday, and it's sunnier today, so it's good. Everything's
Yeah,
good.
like a month ago, I was skiing still. Now it's warm.
So our topic today is what's the value we bring, love, relationship, and business. So in a world that moves fast and often feels disconnected, what is the true value each of us bring to love, to relationship, to business, and to the collective human experience? So on this video, we are going to dive into self-worth, emotional contribution, energy exchange, and the often unseen impact and being truly present. Whether you are a creator, a partner, friend, or entrepreneur, your value is more than what you do, is who you are. So, Grant, you chose this topic. Would you like to explain to our audience what was the motivation behind it, please?
Good question. Thanks, Nobsa. Yeah, the motivations have been a big topic. I've been speaking at lots of events this week about this very thing, and it came about through our friend AI. Again, the subject came about, and we started asking each other questions, and this was a revelation for many businesses that we were discussing this together with. And it was, what business are you really in? What business do you really do? What about in your life? What role are you playing within that relationship? Who are you really? And it's about knowing your negotiables and your non-negotiables. Very important. You have to stand for what you believe in and not do what you don't, because you need to be known as one thing in life. So we're talking about the value that you bring. So when it comes to AI, which can replace many things these days, it's not meant to replace, but you know what humans are like, we're going to use it to replace things. So are you putting yourself in a relationship? Are you putting yourself in a career? Are you putting yourself in a business that could be replaced? If you don't know your true value that you bring, that cannot be replaced by AI, watch out. And we had been talking around the subject for a couple of years now, but we came at it from a different angle the other day, and it was blowing people away to the point that they were changing their businesses, literally. So that's the point. Understanding the true value you have and how that cannot be effectively replaced by something like AI. Because once you understand that, it puts your true value up exponentially. That's the thought behind today's show. Amanda, what are you thinking around that one?
Well, that's a really big topic because when you think about it, like AI is blowing people's minds with what it's capable of already, and they say that it'll just be that more capable in like 6 months. And then I think about my career as a teacher, and I know when we had to go online for COVID, I'm like, there's no way you can replace what happens in the real classroom. Because even I know for myself, when I did my master's degree, it started like in the classroom. And then because I could do it over 6 years, partway through, it went to like the majority of it was online, and I hated the online. I loved going to the university and sitting in class and talking to other people. And I learned more from like interactions with other people, like in the classes, than I actually did from the course content. And I think that's something that we often forget. Like, yeah, AI might be really great at like spitting out content, but it's not like looking outside of the world and thinking outside the box on what you might encounter by having a conversation with another actual human, because it doesn't predict those things, right? It just does what what you tell it to do. And so I also think about like how like the content really isn't the important thing when I'm teaching like elementary school, right? Because elementary school is about like learning how to interact with others. It's about learning how to learn. It's about finding things that you're excited to learn about. It's about like learning how to navigate conflict and like how do you teach an AI to like manage those situations where it's like one kid says something mean to another or whatever, and it has nothing to do with the course content because like most
Right.
of my day, so much of the like things that I'm deciding on instantly have nothing to do with the course content. It's everything to do with like humans being human, right? And so I think that's something that like when we look at like little kids, like AI can't replace those interactions with like actual humans. And I think that's something that's really, really important. And my cousin just lent me this book. It's called The Anxious Generation, and it's talking about how like phones have really made increased anxiety amongst teens and how the screens have replaced like playtime. So it was like a play focused childhood. Now it's like a phone focused childhood, and how that's really messing with our brains. And I think we're going to see a shift to go back to like digital detox, right? And there's going to be more focus on the value of digital detox, especially we're going to see these things running parallel. We're going to see AI skyrocketing, and we're going to see the need for digital detox skyrocketing at the same time. And I think that's something that we're going to have to navigate because those things are so polar opposite,
Well, they're
right?
already talking now about the new device not being a phone.
Mm,
Won't be a phone. It'll be something else. Could be, for example, could be a watch, or it could be a bio ring. Could be
mhm.
something. Everything will be there.
Yeah, like I know
We
my
may be
cousin,
moving away from this.
yeah, I know my cousin was talking about like she has a Apple Watch and we were hiking on the weekend, and so she was tracking our hike because we did like quite an intense hike. And I was like, I refuse to get a smartwatch. I do not want it. I would love it for like tracking my workouts, but that's about it. I don't want it to text me. I don't want it to like, no, I don't want it to do anything that's going to distract me from being present in the present moment when I'm out here. And so even when like I'm in the yoga studio, I see people with their smartwatches on, and I'm like, I purposely don't want a smartwatch because I don't want it to ding in me to be looking at it constantly. I
Kind of
leave
this is the
the phone
point,
on my
isn't it?
desk on purpose because I don't want to look at it. I don't want it attached
No.
to me all the time. It like increases my anxiety. So when I have, well, like I don't want it. So like having purposeful time. I also have time limits on the devices in our house too. And I think like I read a book years ago about the heartbeat of trees, and it's about how they're like learning that people need to like go walk in forests, and it actually decreases our cortisol in our body and our stress hormones by just walking amongst the trees. And it's just like I think that value that AI is bringing, we're also going to see a pushback to really
Yeah.
be a polar opposite of that. So
Well,
that's kind of where my brain goes. I don't know. What do you think?
that's a great point. In fact, you're talking about the nature thing. When I coach my clients, it gets to a certain point when they're at a certain level of understanding, and I get them to do that as part of their homework, literally to go and do that and then make it consistent because it changes them. I've got a probably one of my favorite clients ever. He luckily lives near nature, but we was looking at his business sales, etc., and analysed that the best way to improve his sales was to spend a couple of hours in nature at the weekend. Seriously, because the difference was measurable. Effectively, he's extremely good at what he does. But if he doesn't go in nature, he's very short-tempered, he's very bad, and he goes into the office, he doesn't spend as much time with prospects, doesn't close as many deals. His team come up with less ideas because they're scared to bring up with ideas in front of him because he gets snappy with them, right? When he's in nature,
Why does it get snappy?
because he hasn't been in nature, he hasn't been in touch with beautiful things, he hasn't refreshed and recharged. He's just stuck with tech all the time. and he's very good with tech. So he needs to restore that balance, that chi, that flow. Okay, so he does. And we found out that's his thing. Once he does that, he comes in the office on a Monday. He's relaxed. He'll speak to prospects. He'll come up with more creative ideas. He'll be more easier. The team will be ready to speak openly. They come up with ideas. Some are good, some are not, but you find good ones, and they make more money, and they help more people. So what I'll hold him accountable to is he must go and be in nature for 2 hours a weekend. Otherwise, I won't coach him. That's what he does, and it works better. It makes a huge. Now that's particular to him. Other people are different. Other people respond differently. Yeah. So it's about understanding what that individual needs, rather than do this.
But
Do this.
have you ever actually dig deep what is causing that? Because that can be
Yeah.
anything that is causing anxiety. There must be something behind it.
It always is. It always is.
It's
Yeah.
not because
And
it's the nature, something maybe the
well, nature
experience
helps
that.
to restore the balance, but the trauma is what I've worked on and released for him. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there must be something
Yeah. There
that
was
he has
stuff
gone
behind it.
through.
But he loves being in nature. He loves it. He's sport, which he does for recreation, is nature. Is in sport. So he does, kayaking, mountain climbing, abseiling, all this kind of stuff. He does that. And that's how he enjoys it. That's his fun. I love music, right? I'm a music person. He does that. So yeah, you take those things away and people don't perform as well. But yeah, there are, like most people, there's some traumas behind it. So you understand that. I always wanted to know people's backstory. And I've gone deep into exactly what was going on. And that's all sorted now. But yeah. And it helps. So the thing is, see, some people can't perform well when they've got things going on in their life. Some people can perform well. They can still do it, but they're still stressed. And that takes a toll on your body and your spirit. And that's it. So you can still do it, but it's just depleting your. If you go into the work of Alan Walker's, it talks about life force particles. He'll say that as you go through life, basically life gives you cuts and bruises, and he calls them life force particles, and you deplete them, and you can see people sometimes they're broken, they're just broken, they're broken inside, but you can recharge that and replace that. They're just different. They go through. We have different color zones we look at. So if you to look at the work of, for example, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you've got different levels. First of all is food and shelter and safety. You need that. At that stage, people are not looking for spiritual alignment. They haven't got time for that. There's food, shelter, water. After that is connection, love, spirituality, and that comes higher up the tree once you're fully enriched in other areas. Otherwise, it's kind of like saying, "Oh, let's get new decorations for the house when the walls are falling down." You need to secure the foundation first. So, but we look at things various ways like that, and that's all been built up, over time, and it's wonderful. But again, it's technology, isn't it? It's technology now. It's a great thing. I mean, I was using ChatGPT a little while ago and other AI apps. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Misses a couple of little bits. The nice thing is you go back in and you edit it to make it just right for you. But it's a time saver. That's what it's supposed to do.
Mhm.
But the topic again is, what are you doing? Now, I allude to the idea that it is the beautiful thing. It is the essence of humanity. That's the very thing that's unique. So I think there's a combination. There's a formula I've come up with. And this is where AI is met with HI, human intelligence, emotional intelligence. So you've got HI, human intelligence, EI, emotional intelligence, meeting AI, artificial intelligence. When you put them together, you get a considered, analyzed outcome for that individual. And I believe, and I wrote a big thing in a hypnosis forum last night about what is it and how it's changing hypnotherapy, or how it can change. It hasn't got to, but how it can. And everything in life evolves. Everything does. Early forms of hypnotherapy was slightly different to how it is now. There's a belief that they believe to be true, which were not. Even the word hypnosis is incorrect description of what it is. I was the chairman of the James Braid Society. He was known as the grandfather of hypnosis. When it first came out, one of the early forms of hypnosis was for surgery. When you didn't have anesthetic, it was used in the Crimean War and people were losing limbs. They'd given a slug of whiskey and cut their limbs off. Hypnosis was used to control pain. Doctors and dentists use hypnosis for that purpose now. We use it. We help people reduce pain with hypnosis. But it's all a belief system. But when he studied it, first of all, he came to the conclusion that hypnosis was a form of sleep. Therefore, the Greek goddess of sleep was Hypno, and termed it hypnosis. It's quite a cool sounding name. It became modern parlance in the world, and about 6 years later, he did more research to discover, it's actually not a form of sleep at all. It's a trance. And the Greek name for that was not nearly as sexy. But by now, the world had known it as hypnosis, and that's the word that stuck. But it's technically an incorrect description of what it is. But there you go. I mean, that's a short idea of hypnosis and how it evolves over time. Such as any industry, understanding, readings, it all evolves and different interpretations are taken on. But I think it's time not to say no to AI, not to say yes to AI. But as always, it is the human intelligence, the intelligent use thereof. We failed with emails. We were given emails. That was meant to be the answer, so that it could save time, so that we could spend so much more time with our loved ones doing good work for the community and helping them. Is that what we did? No. We just sent more emails because the person next door, the office next door, was sending more emails. So the competition carried on. We missed the whole plot. We missed it. We got the idea wrong. We misused it. And we did not use human intelligence with that artificial intelligence, if you will. So we misuse it. And this is humans. We're fallible. We tend to make mistakes and do things. If you look at the world of fighter pilots, the thing that's holding back progression is not the technology. That's way ahead. Humans, we're holding it back. We can't think. Our brain hasn't changed in the last million years. We can't think any faster than we used to. Technology could have the planes going way faster, doing quicker things, but the pilot can't keep up. We are maybe 25, 28 years away from pilotless fighter pilots. So the last fighter pilots, cowboys of the sky, as they call it, was born a few years ago. They're young kids now. They're the last breed. There won't be any after that. Okay, so therefore, the question is it smart to use these things? And because we can use them, is it smart to use them? I believe the answer is not a yes or no. It's a question of how much and in what style and in what pace. Because the great news I feel with all of this is it's going to bring about the re-emergence of something very important, and that is the individual spirit of a human, because that will be unique. And although with AI we can feign that, we can copy it. Like if I put in my ideas in AI, it would come out with a version of what I would say, but I would look at it and say, that's not quite what I'd say. It would be a bit more like this. It would be pretty good, and it learns. It's a learning thing, obviously, but it hasn't quite got the spirit and the love which I would put into it. And that's the same for all of us. And I believe this can be the individual value that we can bring, which brings me back to the original questions. What value do you bring to your career, your business, or the relationship that you're in? That's what I think. What do you think about that, Nomsa?
I think when it comes to, I agree with you guys, the technology has taken over now. We have AI, we have all these gadgets and things. The world is changing very fast. But some families can still adapt where they will still have to socialize instead of relying on the gadgets. Like children, they still need the interaction with their parents, still need to communicate. Even our friends, our lives, we still need that human. Although the AI is good for business, truly 100%, but
yeah.
It's no good for like communication wise. It cannot beat a human's brain. And like Grant, you're saying that whenever you communicate, the AI, although it can communicate, but there's no love in it, there's no emotions. But anyway, as the time goes by, they will still be working towards to make it have
Oh, yeah.
emotions.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to love, what do we bring? What do we offer? You have to start with self-awareness. Is really, really important. Ask yourself, what are your emotional strength? How do you show love? Are you someone who stays calm during conflict? Do you listen without judgment? Do you express affection consistently? Or sometimes it could be just materially education, career-wise. So those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. What am I bringing to the table? Like if you were to get married to a businessman or a businesswoman, you got to understand what makes them be who they are,
Yeah.
what mindset that will work for them, for you to actually be with them, for the relationship to work. So it's all about understanding the person and stuff. But with AI, guys, those who are not using it, they'll be left behind. With AI, there is no like, I can't use it, it's wrong. When it comes to business, it just saves so much time, honestly. The research it saves so much time.
No kidding. But you're right, Nonce, what you say about the human element. And of course, it can be feigned now. But what do? We don't go and hug a piece of software. We hug humans.
Yeah.
People with human connection, acceptance, and understanding, right? And that's the point. There's something tactile. I go to see music events, and I think a lot about it. What am I doing? What am I really doing? And what it is live music. I don't have to move. I've got that music done by the original artist here. We play it better. But it misses something. It's something about live connection with people. It's beautiful. I use technology. I don't do very many face-to-face meetings. I'm doing one tonight. Rarely I do a face-to-face meeting now. I love using technology for this kind of thing. I love it. I really do. But equally, I like jumping on a plane and going to do an event overseas somewhere, which I'll be doing for most of July. I won't be around in July. I'm just overseas for all but 4 days of July. I'll be away. And I love interacting with different people in different countries around the world. But then it's so convenient for me to come back and then just do my work here. And I like that. I like that change between the two. It's very useful. I like it. It suits my lifestyle. Whereas some people said to me lately, "You've got a great life." And I said, I designed it that way. And that's what I help my clients do. I help design the life and the business they want. Yeah. So it's what's right for me isn't right for them. It's finding the right blend. But do you ever
I
get
know, I'm thinking like, wow, you get to fly so much and like go all of these amazing places, but I'm like, that wouldn't work for me right now because I'm like mom, right?
So
But like maybe eventually something like that would, but like at this point in
and that's
life,
exactly right. So when people come to you
amazing.
like to set up a business and they're in that situation, that's why I say you've got to know the individual. You've got to, oh, do this, do that. That could be hell for you right now. But you look about situated now, you're doing at work, you come out, you do a couple of hours of an evening, then you spend time with your daughter. You've got to understand someone's lifestyle, and then you can filter in a business that's going to work for that with a view to scaling that up later. Blah 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 blah. You know, so it's all about making a plan for the individual that works, not assuming everyone's like you because we're different. We have different views, different values, different priorities. But back to the AI. Do you ever get the message? And you know you're talking to a bot when you say to someone, "Hey, hey Grant, how are you?" And you say, "Hey, not bad. I did this at the weekend. Hey, I just cooked that for dinner, and oh, I've got that meeting tomorrow." And they say, "Thank you, Grant. I understand that you went out and had a nice social event at the weekend, and that you're cooking a delicious and nutritious dinner, and that you have a challenging but rewarding meeting coming up." And you're like, "Yeah, okay. Oh, why are you speaking so formal?" That's because you're using the bot. And already now I'm getting messages from people saying, da 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 da, "Hi Grant, blah, blah." And by the way, this is not a bot. This is actually me typing a message. So people are realizing there's a need for that human connection again. People are already getting a little fed up with it. Not saying AI is going to fall out of bed. Of course it isn't. It's too powerful. But I'm saying people are getting fed up with the impersonal aspect of it. Call centers are rationalizing and normalizing things, which is, don't get into the subject, but it's a coercive manner. I was talking to, I don't know, it was a bank or a call center a few weeks ago, and they said, da, 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 and it went through, you speak to one person, or you answer some questions, and then you go through to the call center. And the lady was invariably in the Philippines, they're normally in countries like that. And she said, "Hello, sir, how are you? Da, 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 da. Can you tell me that information?" I said, "Oh, I just gave the information earlier." And she said, "Oh, yeah. So what did you tell the lady earlier?" I said, I didn't speak to a lady earlier." She said, "No, you did. You spoke to a lady just now." I said, "Not on this call, I didn't." She said, "Yeah, you spoke to Jennifer." I'm like, "Jennifer?" I said, "No, I spoke to your AI." She said, "Oh, yes, we called it Jennifer." I'm like, "You can call it what you like. I would not be calling it a name. I'm not going to humanize it. It's a piece of AI. I have no issue with that, but it is not a human." I'm not going to start calling it a name because it rationalizes, it normalizes, and it socializes.
Mhm.
And if anybody's out there understanding what I'm talking about, you know what that leads to. So I'm not going to go down that route. I'm not going to play that game. But I will use AI very happily for the purpose for which it was intended. Um, but you still retain your own value. So the thing that solved the problem was the operator.
Mhm. I know for myself, whenever I phone into those things, I get so mad and I like yell at the phone. I'm like, I just want to talk to a human. Like,
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
hit zero a whole bunch of times. I was like,
I had a really serious problem about 8 years ago, which took about 6 weeks to sort out, an enormous amount of stress
Mhm.
because the humans I was talking to didn't understand the problem. They deferred it to the computer, which clearly didn't understand it. In the end, someone from Birmingham, England, in the company got hold of it and phoned me up and said, "Can you just, you must be sick to death of explaining this to people." I said, "Can you just explain to me what's going on here?" I said, "Yeah." And I thought this guy immediately sounded switched on and tuned in and genuinely trying to be helpful. I could just hear it in his voice. I could hear it humanly. I could hear it in his voice. And I told him, he said, "Yeah, I see what's gone on." I said, "God, this has all got way out of hand, hasn't it?" I said, "Yeah, thank God you understand." And we solved it within minutes.
Yeah.
7 weeks it took. 7 weeks. And it was unbelievably stressful. I spoke to the organization in connection with it and told them what they was putting me through. And one of the senior people said to me, "Why don't you just fire us? Why don't you just get a different supplier? This is terrible what we've done." I said, "I would do, but the problem is, in all honesty, your competitors are probably exactly the same." And she said, "You're right. They're all rubbish at that." And it was so scary. It was like you was talking to, well, you was effectively talking to robots. No one got it. No one got it. It was, I cannot put it into words. It was one of the most scariest times of my life. It's like my life was shrinking in around me because of an admin error that couldn't be logically understood. It was scary. It was really scary. It took a human to sort it out. What the hell was going on here? I don't know. Why can we just do that and that? Yes, we can. That's it. Solved. Done. And that was just 8 years ago. Terrifying. So the real value there was this person's human interaction and their logical understanding and experience of the practical situation, rather than just deferring to a load of drop-down box answers. It's a bit like, yeah, you got the FAQs and it says, "Has this answered your question?" And the other said, "No, it hasn't." I said, "Why is it not?" I said, "Because it completely failed to understand the question in the first place. It didn't give anything near to an answer of what I was looking for." And it was a pretty straightforward thing. And sometimes they're incredibly accurate. So there are anomalies. So when you look at this, if you look in the world of music, let's use this analogy. There is Nile Rodgers from the band Chic, yeah, back in the 80s. He's a very, very accomplished, very seasoned musician, really done his apprenticeship with many of the great stars when he was younger. Very good. He's known now as the hit maker. So if you have a song and you want to make it a hit, if you can afford to hire him, they say you will have a hit. You will have a hit. He has the elements. He knows the formula for making hits. So there was this celebrity who had made a song and it was done, it was finished, and she said it was done, and it gave it to him just to sprinkle a little bits on top. Now, these are digitally recorded songs, obviously. He understood music. He's still in the digital age, but he's really an analog guy. He came along, listened to the song, thought he was going to work on it for a day or two, and that was it. He phoned up, he said, no, I need a couple of weeks with this. I said, why? It's done. He said, it ain't done. The song is not done. It is nowhere near done. And he listened to it. He sprinkled his analog sort of thinking on top of it. He'd done it, and it was unique. It became a hit, huge hit. And she was just saying how you didn't realize the amount of value that he has because he listens to it from a unique standpoint, not the formulaic way they was doing it. Not there was anything wrong with the way he was doing it. It was still a good song, but he made it a magical song because of his understanding, his experience, his consideration, and his breadth of knowledge and understanding the spirit of the song and the singer behind it. That, I think, is the true essence of his value. And this is what I'm talking about. What is your value? What is it that you do in your career, your business, the relationship, your relationship with your family, yourself, or your loved one? What is it that you bring that is irreplaceable? Absolutely irreplaceable. Because that right there is your value. And that can never be taken away. So that's what I'm asking people to think about. What do you think, Nomsa? When you think of these values, how would you interpret that?
I think for me, the values is what creates a person, what makes a person be who they are. Because when we actually define, we say we define like core values, it's like values are the guide to our behavior in love, loyalty, honest, forgiveness, communications. So those are the things that some people may not be willing to compromise, like myself. I'm not willing to compromise. Like when it comes to communication is really, really important to me. And I was raised by communications. Like my parents used to sit down with me. Like there are some parents who tell children off, and even if children don't know they made a mistake, but for me, I'll make a mistake and my parents will sit down with me and explain it to me the consequences of doing things and not listening to your parents. What are the consequences? And those are things that to me are my values, where if I'm surrounded by people, I have to communicate to myself and I have to listen to that person. And also it comes to what do I believe is most important in a relationship? What principles do I stick to even when things get tough? For me, the principles that I like when things get tough with me, I go to God. I go to prayer. I don't get stressed because at that moment, although I'll get really distressed, but that moment for me is to go to God and communicate with God. How do I move forward with this problem that is in front of me? Because I know I can't deal it with on my own. But through the dating scene, for me, I have found that there are some guys who could not understand, or sometimes when there is a problem, for me, I'm a Christian. If there is a problem or at work, there is a problem, the first thing that I need to do, I need to go to prayer for stress, to calm myself down. I need to relax, because if I'm not thinking straight, I can't do anything. I will make a mistake. So firstly, I need to deal with me. Once I deal with me, this is when I ask God, where do I move forward with this problem? But with the guys that I've dated, they could not understand. They'll be like, Nomsa, you don't care. When things go wrong, you don't care. And I'll be like, actually, I think I'm the one who cares the most. I care. When problems rises, I care, because I can't go and do this screaming and feeling sorry club. For me, is to deal with me first. what brought this problem? Is there a solution that can I solve it? Or do I need to pick up a phone and call Amanda to help me? Or do I need to pick a phone call and call Grant and help me? So I go into that mode. But sometimes, and then it is when someone goes and then they come back and they say, I didn't understand your attitude, but now I do, because I spend time worrying about things. So I don't. For me, it's like, let me go, instead of worrying, let me go and pray to God. It's like, there was a funny thing that happened. My family, my in-laws, they all went to say goodbye to my father-in-laws, and they're like, goodbye and goodbye. They said goodbye. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, Gary, what's the next move? Is it going to you? Is it going to, where is it going? Is it that's it? And Gary says to me, no, that's not it. So I was like, can you do your thing then? So then now, when someone is serious, basically the ambulance people have to stay with him. So God kicks everything out, and it was like, you got to do the work now. You got to pray through you. I'll bring him back. So I bring my father-in-law back, and he comes back, he's fine. And then now his son goes, I don't understand. How did he survive? I don't understand. And me, I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you always criticize my Christianity. So I just went quiet. But my daughter knew. So I was like, don't tell him. So I was like, for me, it's like, I don't do the talking when things go wrong. I don't get stressed because I know if I get stressed, even with business, if I get stressed, I can't solve anything. But if I'm in a mood where I can't do anything, what I do is I go on the sofa, go into what was it called? Some people, they go into freeze. I freeze.
Freeze, yeah, fight, flight, and freeze. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
the
freeze. When
mechanism.
I'm freezed, it's like I have to sit down and stand still.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
some people deal with things differently.
they do.
Yeah, so we're all different. We all do things. I think it's knowing who you are, what you bring, and that solve everything
That
in
is
a relationship or
yeah,
in business.
I think you're spot on there, Nomsa. And this is why I think it's so important to know your value. Because once you
Yeah,
do that, when people know their true value, and I believe everybody does have a great value, when you do, you stop trying to be other things. And when you stop trying to be other things, you're free.
yeah,
And you're free. And then the beauty of you comes out. And then your value increases even more. Because the people who truly appreciate you for what you are comes out. And that is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. This came up the other day. We was talking about one of the coaches was asking about being magnetic with people, really attracting people. And I think you could use this in all forms of life, whether it's being finding a partner, in business or anything. And I've done this. I have done this, and I can tell you categorically, it is noticeable. It can happen, and I've done it. I'm not saying I can do it to order, because if I can, this stuff is lightning in a bottle. But I have done it maybe on 2 occasions in my life when I've just been really, really content. And I've been out, I've been in a bar, not trying to meet partners, but just in a bar, just relaxing. And people who didn't know me were walking across the room, coming up to me and saying, who are you? Who are you? You look to me like you don't give a F-U-C-K about anything. And I said, you're right, I don't. And they're like, what is it you do? They thought I was a billionaire or something. The point is not that it made me feel good. It was that they could see that you had an energy about you that was very, very attractive. Like, who are you? What do you do? Do you teach? Can you teach us stuff? And I hadn't said a word. I'd been doing that, teaching stuff to people that weekend. Came out on my own because I've been around people all weekend. I wanted to be alone. I could be in a crowd, but a crowd of people I don't know, so I don't have to talk to anyone. And I was just sitting there with a glass of beer, just watching the TV, doing nothing, minding my own business, not looking or interacting with anyone, but people were drawn towards me. They could feel it. And I know what they could feel because what they could feel, I could feel it myself inside. It was the most beautiful, amazing, free feeling I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm a pretty comfortable person. I'm fairly comfortable with things anyway. But this was on a different level, like nothing I've ever experienced. I've done it twice. And people I didn't know were just walking across the room saying, "Who am I?" And that was really odd. That was a really odd thing. It was like your biggest celebrity just walked in the room. It was charisma, it was energy, it was contentment, it was fulfillment, it was intention, all these things. I had nothing but good intentions for the world. And it showed. And people came along, and gave this answer. I mean, I was being quizzed on a call the other day, and I said that can happen. And I think when people are totally in their flow, talking about the thing that is their brand, if you want to use that word, their message to the world, whatever your message is, there's no right or wrong, but whatever your message is, when you're totally in flow, there's no barriers in you. When there's no barriers, there's no resistance. That creates a vacuum for people coming towards you. I have seen this with salespeople. I used to be a sales trainer, and there was a guy I knew, and he was very up and down, very up and down. And some things had happened in his life that made him happy. And I looked at him and I said, "Today, you could sell anything to anyone." His energy was just incredibly magnetic because he was in a good way of thinking. I had a friend who was greatly in love, and he had been to see his girlfriend and he got off the train. I remember seeing him now. He was so happy and content. He was so happy and content. Lots of other women were looking at him as he got off the train. He said, "Do you know it's women looking at him?" I said, "Yeah, I saw it." So what's it? "You're very attractive today." His energy was attractive. He didn't care. He wasn't thinking. He didn't care. His cup was overflowing, if you will. And that showed. So I've seen it in myself. I've seen it in other people. It can happen. It can work. And when you're like that, you have enormous value that cannot be replaced by anything. It can be mimicked. It can't be replaced. It's unique. It's attractive. It's special. And the greatest thing about it is people can't really quite analyze it, which adds an element of mystery. Therefore, the value goes up even more. Okay. And that's my point. And I think everybody can have that in them. Everybody can bring that out if you learn how to do it. And I encourage people to do it. That's my thoughts. And that's the best way I can describe it at this moment in time. You must see this, Amanda, with kids. You must see sparks of them. And you think, that's it. That's it right there. That's that thing. How do you
Yeah.
do?
Well, and each kid's individual, right? And so
Yeah.
like something that like brings out that like aliveness in one child is gonna not in another,
Yeah.
right? And so it's really like unique to us, like you were saying, like how different people based on things that are going on in their life can either like just radiate this like happiness and success and contentment, and at other times in their life, based on what's going on, they're not radiating that. And so when you look at like what value do you bring, it can also be like situational where
Yeah.
like what's going on in your life at that time. And I know there's times even when there's things going on like at home, then the kids come to school and they're like not functioning as well as they normally would be, right? Because there's stuff going on at home that's like affecting their ability to learn in the classroom. Even like I know a few years ago, I had this one student who would fight with his little brother on the way to school every day because he's like trying to drag his little brother to school, and they would like he'd just get to school and he was like exasperated, like just like
Yeah, I
I'm
remember
an
mentioning.
entire day already and it's only 8 a.m. just like getting my little brother from home to school.
Yeah.
And that kid in those situations, I'd just be like, you know what, just take like half an hour, just like go unwind for a minute, come back, and then you'll be ready to learn. But if I was like expecting him to learn instantly as he walked in that door, after I could already see that he's just like completely exasperated by his younger brother, we would have got nowhere and we would have butted heads all the time, right? Or he would have been like a big behavior in my classroom. But because I could see that the exasperation, like clearly you're not going to learn anything if you're that frustrated. So like, let's just reset. And then you'll be able to actually contribute in the classroom and everything. Because at this point right now, you can't learn anything. You're just like solely focused on how frustrated you are with the situation that happened before school. And so when we look at bringing value, it's also like knowing when you need to reset, knowing when you need to tell someone, like, let's just take a few minutes because we're not being productive at all in this moment in time. And I think that's something too, like that self-awareness of like, how am I showing up as my best self? And am I showing up as my best self? And if not, what are the things that are causing me to not show up as my best self? Am I eating healthy? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I reading books that are inspiring? Am I surrounding myself with people who are making me think outside the box and really adding value to my life? Or am I hanging out with people that are really bringing me down and making me question myself? Right? So all of those things have factors into how you're showing up in that energy that you're giving off. And I think that's something that you really need to consider when you look at like what value you're bringing. It's also what value are you surrounding yourself with? And if you don't like the value that you're surrounding yourself with, then like how can you shift that? Because you're in control of that.
That's right. It takes you off your flow, your spirit. It takes you off your course. And I think it's very, very important to know your values. Something huge when I come to people with partnering in businesses, understanding what their values are. Are they the same? You can have different values, but as long as certain parts of it are aligned and your non-negotiables are the same, that's fine. But a lot of people don't realize they look at an opportunity, but they don't look at the values, and the values will ultimately destroy it in the end if they're not aligned in some way. I think, and same with relationships, and you can save yourself an awful lot of time. We were talking before the show about understanding the way forward with relationships and toxic relationships. We're talking about this, and this is the kind of thing I'm talking about with values. I talk a lot about finding the same values for people and how important it is. Even if something looks attractive here, further down the road, that's not going to be attractive if the values aren't aligned. It's so important. It can save you so much time, money, love, energy, and avoid stress if you get that right. And the tricky part is controlling your mind, because something may seem really attractive here, and you're naturally, for fear of loss, you want to get involved with it, but really you can be setting yourself up for a fall later. And again, once you know your values and you're true to them, that helps you to make these decisions easily in life. So it's a great friend to have on your shoulder once you know your value. That's what I really want to add. What do you think, Nomsa? I think you might be muted.
Do you want to say words of encouragement before you go, Amanda?
Yeah, I have to get going, but I really love this topic. I just think that like whatever space you're in right now, I really just think about what I just said about like what value are you surrounding yourself with? And if you don't like it, then how are you going to shift that? But I do need to get going to work. So I hope you all have a fantastic day.
Take care, Amanda. And
I think based on what Grant said, is just knowing who you are, because there are some people like you can see the speakers or you can see what they do, and then their character is completely different, but then you see they're trying to copy somebody else, or even their businesses, or even on their website. They're trying to copy other people, but I think knowing who you are and really standing out as the individual, I think that is really, really important, because it means you know your worth, you know your values, you know what makes your business be what it is, what makes you who you are, what makes your relationship. I have friends, sometimes they'll talk to me bruising their relationship because of someone else, they think this person has a better life. So I'm thinking, but your story is your story. Their story is their story. How can you compare your relationship with somebody else?
Aren't you? You're unique, and
Yeah,
that's the key point, isn't it? People are unique, and you understand who you are and what you are. Getting to know yourself has been something that mankind has been seeking for thousands of years, and every generation finds it themselves as you go through a stage of trying to find who you are. But once you truly find yourself, which is an old adage which was used in the 1960s in America, finding myself, man. But but if you can truly find yourself, that it's a beautiful path ahead, because it's easier to say yes to things, and it's easy to know what to say no to, because you're just content on the inside, and that is very, very attractive, whatever you're doing. And then it brings out, it enhances your true value. You have it already, but you may not have realized it was there. But once you find it, it's like a diamond. It might be a rough diamond, you can polish it up, and it's great to use in the world. It increases your value, and it helps to avoid you being made redundant. And you can use things like AI to do what it's meant to do, to assist you to take away the burden of the things you don't do that well, so that you can do more of the things that you do well and excel and increase your value. And that was the whole point of the talk. So I hope that's helped you and given you some clarity on the way to think, because when we were sharing this with businesses, it was literally changing the way they were thinking about their businesses. And some people changed their business on the spot. It was a real, you talk about their mouth was open agape. They were literally like this. Their mouth was agape. It was quite something. So I hope you've had the same result. If you have, please write in. Please use the social medias and speak to us. None of us will see them, because I really hope, because if you've done that, you've really understood the point of this, which I think is a very, very powerful question that we've raised today. And I hope this helped you. And if it hasn't, you don't understand it, you need more clarification, write in, and we'll approach it again next week. Nomsa, over to you.
Guys, if you are watching, just be unique. That's what we can tell you. We can give advice we can give you. If you're watching from any part of social media, please do share our video and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And we have two groups, Unique Billionaire Mindset and Gossip Talk Shows. Please do join those two groups and be part of us, and like our pages, please. Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and Gossip Talk Shows pages. And want to sign up for love or for coaching, please do go to www.hseia.coach. And see you tomorrow, guys. It's Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday tomorrow.